Old-fashioned business English was very formal. It was very rigid, stern, and hierarchical. Right? It was in layers. In modern business English, it has become very clear, straightforward, concise, and not very formal, a bit semi-formal. Digital era, it has become faster and more direct communication. I think in my class, I have given you many examples. For example, without telling, I look forward to hearing from you soon, right? You'd say, I look forward to hearing from you by uh, the end of the week. You're being specific. See that, right? You become very specific. Okay. So now a fine example would be as per our discussion, which is very formal. Modern English, it would be as discussed, but in the digital age, it might be per chat, right? So semi formal is better. Effective business language is clear, very concise, and audience centered. Now, the tone is the key. Now, there are several instances where you have to engage in conversations and also write memos, write business letters to client, right? So, direct and concise language. When you're writing an email to a potential employee, right? Very casual will be, I think it would be cool to work at your company. What do graphic designers do? This is very, very casual because it's an employee. If you say, please tell me more about the graphic design position at your company, that's very blunt because you do not have any relationship yet. But in business English, you could say, I'm interested in pursuing a graphic design position at your company, and I would like to learn a little bit more about the job. Are you available to discuss this position? Right? So, can you read the difference now? Look at the difference. So, I want you to attain this. Okay? This is better. This is too casual. This is blunt, but this is the level. What do you feel when you read it? The tone. That's the tone we have to achieve. Right? Now, to achieve that tone, we'll have to learn some common business phrases and idioms. Now, some frequently used expressions in professional settings to communicate ideas clearly and efficiently. What matters? And what is the social setting? What domain? Each domain, they develop their own unique vocabulary to communicate about topics specific to their field. So, in the business field, it has to help you sound confident and fluent, right? And it has to help you to explain abstract concepts into commonly understood terms, and also to help break the ice, fostering the relationship, especially in teams, because you work in teams, right? Now, I have put some examples, right? Informal ones. Now, see, these are the kinds of words you have to know rather than these. Okay. Now, I want you to guess the meanings of these. Find the meanings of these words, guess the meanings of these words, and you can use the chat to type your answer, please. Right? Do the first one for you, right? So, what is the meaning of this business idiom touch base? Right? So, touch base, the first one, space, what is it? Hmm? Making a brief contact. Make brief contact or reconnect with someone. It's the meaning of touch base, right? I want you to use the chat and type the answer. The first one, touch base, right? Let's say you're at a meeting. Your boss says, okay, let me just touch base now. This is what we have done up to now, right? Okay. An example would be I just wanted to touch base and see if you received my email, right? You can touch base on a topic or touch base with someone. Okay. Please write a sentence for that, right? You could write, I just wanted to touch base and see if you received my email. Or let's touch base next week to discuss the project updates. I'll touch base with you when I arrive in office. Please write the meaning and write one example, please. Right? I need to touch base with marketing regarding the new campaign. Right? So it's a kind of update. Okay? Right. Second one. Second one is cut to the chase. Cut to the chase. Cut to the chase. Do I have any answers for that? Cut to the chase means so stop wasting time on unnecessary details and come to the main point. Right? Get directly the important point. Right? Stop the unnecessary details and get directly to the important point. Right? Now let's cut to the chase. How much will this project cost? Right? Stop explaining everything, cut to the chase, what really happened. Right? Or you can say, I'm going to cut to the chase and tell you that we need to reduce the cost, right? Without giving details, coming to the important point. Are you okay? Right? I did two students, and expect you to do the third one. Give the green light, right? Give the green light. I am waiting for your answers. Give the green light. Give the green light. Number three, please have them in your diction. It will be very useful in professional business context, right? Approve. Approve something. Give the green light is approve something, right? For example, the council has given the green light to the new shopping center, right? Doctors gave him the green light yesterday to start, right? Authorize, approve, permit. Number four, plate by ear. Plate by ear. What one is played by ear? Played by ear. Played by ear is go with the flow. Just go with the flow. Sure of your plan, go with the flow. Right? Just improvise while you're going. Handle it as it comes. You see that, right? It is to handle a situation as it develops rather than following a set of plan. Okay, write a sentence. Drop the ball. Fifth one is drop the ball. Right? So played by ear, you could have had an example. I'm not sure how you will react. Let's just play it by the ear. Right? Just play it by the ear. Just let's do something as it goes, right? Play by the ear. Please learn them. Drop the ball. Drop the ball. Drop the ball. Drop the ball. The meaning of drop the ball. Make a mistake. You see that? Drop the ball, make a mistake. Make a mistake. Let's say you paid careful attention, you stop giving careful attention. Like it is a preventable error. I really dropped the ball when I forgot to send that report. You see that? Don't drop the ball. We are all relying on you, right? Make a mistake. Number six, white collar. White collar. Office work. Office work. Office work. Right? Now, blue collar is laborer jobs. Right? White collar. Administrative work. Managerial work. All of you, after your BSc, you want all white collar work, right? Administrative, managerial, right? Office settings, office work, right? White collar, lawyers and bankers and accountants and IT specialists, desk jobs. Okay? Make a sentence, please. Next one is black tie. Black tie. Formal event. Formal event. Now, office, we are having a black tie evening. We have to dress up and go. A formal event. Okay? Right? Go getter. Number eight, go getter. What is go getter? Go getter. Answers are coming. Go getter. Very ambitious and energetic. Are you a go getter? I think you should be ambitious and energetic. My boss is a go getter, right? They take the initiative, they kind of overcome the challenges, drive to achieve their goals. Right? Some people call it hustler, achiever. Yeah. Right? So some companies they recruit go-getters who will be actively involved in the company's development. Right? My friend is a real go-getter. Right? Already secured 3 clients for this week. Okay. Number 9, whistleblower. 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 So a whistleblower is an employee or someone who is inside who will report illegal things happening in your office. Right? It's not gossip actually, illegal things like unethical, dangerous things. Right? They tell it to the public. Right? Okay. Right? Reveal of wrongdoing. A revealer of wrongs. Telling what is happening inside, which is unethical. Right? For example, if there's a corporate fraud, right? An employee can inform the regulators, the government in this case, that their companies doing something like that, right? A worker can alert the government authorities probably about toxic waste or something like that, right? Employee telling the regulator that they have faulty products. Okay. The last one, yes, ma'am. What is a yes man? Hmm? Who unthinkingly, without thinking, agrees with everything, right? Never say no, like a puppet. Always agree without thinking. Always agreeing without thinking. So actually, this term is always used with disapproval to describe someone who lacks the bravery to disagree, often in a corporate or hierarchical setting. Okay. So it's not uh, easy to learn a lot of idioms, but these can help you survive, right? Business idioms, right? And now we were talking about blue collar now, right? White collar and blue collar. So white collar, or everyone wants to be a white collar worker, like engineers and bankers, and that. Blue collar is all manual, physical work, right? Now, there are other colors as well. For example, pink color is for teachers, nurses, and receptionists. Green color is for social solar technicians, recycling experts. Green. The gold color is for scientists and surgeons and pilots, right? So gray is a mix of white and blue, technicians, healthcare workers. Now, ethics of using business jargon. You can use business jargon, but you have to be careful. So, business idioms are often regional in large big countries and cultural, right? Okay. They are not universally understood. So, if you feel that your crowd won't understand, I think you should not use them, right? Uh, so sometimes when you use excessive jargon and idioms, it can act like a club. So then people who don't speak like that would not come to work with you, right? Sometimes they can be vague. You're not sure about them, imprecise, sometimes easily misinterpreted, right? And they can sometimes create a toxic environment. But it's nice to know of it, right? Now we go on to business abbreviations. Now, when I say business abbreviations, um, abbreviation is a short form, right? So we use them uh, to communicate quickly and efficiently in a professional setting. So they are used in many places. We use them in semi formal emails, informal emails, sometimes in WhatsApps, groups, and teams, meetings and presentation, uh, sometimes in reports and internal documents as well, right? Okay. Now we are going to uh, do a small activity about these. I'm going to watch a video, right? One moment. Now, before we watch the video, I will ask you uh, some business abbreviations. Now, a very common one, the one which you know, ASAP. What is ASAP? Can someone answer what is ASAP? ASAP. ASAP. Please write the answer ASAP. CEO, CFO, CTO, You want the answers? BTW, BTW. Yes, BTW. TBH, TBH. FYI, NP, NP, PDF, wait, what are they? I'm waiting for the answers. Huh? Students, remember the chat is this Zoom class is for 40 minutes. You have to again rejoin the class, okay? Right. Nearing that time. Getting answers. Getting answers. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You have not named yourself, so I do not know your names. I can't call you with a number. Check. Let's go to the words. Let's go to the words. Right? So ASAP is what? Hmm? As soon as possible. CEO, right? Uh, is Chief Executive Officer, right? Then CFO is Chief Financial Officer. CTO is Chief Technical Officer. BTW is, by the way, right? TBH is, to be honest, right? DEF is definitely. And BC is because, right? So please type informal acronyms for business. You will get all these, right? Now, as we are learning business idioms and phrases, I'd like you to learn some idioms and business language when you're attending a meeting, right? Let's watch it in a context, okay? Right, I'm going to share it. Can you see the screen? Students, can you see the screen? Yes or no? Students, can you see the screen? Can you? Is the screen clear? Okay, thank you. There's one answering all the time. Okay, let's watch it.
If the meeting is in English, will you be ready? This lesson will help you learn useful phrases to introduce yourself, respond to suggestions and ideas, and ask questions in a business meeting. I want you to imagine you're in the meeting and the chair has asked everyone to introduce themselves. What are some phrases you can use? Sometimes you'll be in a meeting with people you don't know. Other times, the chair will ask for quick introductions to break the ice. There are 3 things you should do here. Say your name, say your job title, describe your responsibilities. To say your name, you can use a formal, "My name is," or if the meeting is more informal, you can say, "Hi, I'm." For your position title, use "to be," just like for your name. Then, decide if your position is the only one in the company or if there are others who have the same job title. For example, if you are the only secretary, use "the." I'm the secretary. If other people also have this position in the company, use a. I'm a project manager. If necessary, you can say which department you work in. You can use the preposition in plus the noun. Engineering, marketing, finance, etc. For example, I'm in the engineering department. Or, I work in the marketing department. Finally, you can briefly describe your responsibilities like this. I manage each project from start to finish. I'm responsible for web analytics and testing. Or, I handle purchasing and our negotiations with suppliers. You can see that using verbs and phrases like manage, be responsible for, or handle can be useful here. Here is an example of a full introduction in a formal meeting with people you don't know or don't know well. My name is Gina Mares, and I'm the marketing manager here. I handle online advertising and web analytics. Here's an example of a more informal introduction. Hi, I'm Gina. I'm in the sales department. I manage our sales team. How would you introduce yourself in a meeting? You can give it a try now. Now that you've introduced yourself, the meeting will begin. During the meeting, you might need to give your opinion on the different agenda items which you are discussing. You might also need to react to other people's suggestions. How can you do this? When making suggestions, modal verbs can be very useful. Should, ought to, or might want to can express something you think is a good idea, but not an obligation. We ought to give new clients a gift from the company. We might want to consider looking for another engineer to help with this. Or, I think we should make this a priority for this month. Have to and need to can express something that is an obligation. We have to improve the way we collect and record sales data. Or, we need to find a cheaper solution. Our budget is very tight. Remember, you can also use these to make negative suggestions. We shouldn't rush this. We need to think it through carefully. Or, we don't need to hire new staff at the moment. Now, it's your turn. Choose a phrase and make a suggestion for something in your own company. Next, what can you do if you want to respond to another suggestion? Well, if you think it's a good suggestion, you can show you agree with phrases like, I agree with, that sounds good, or let's go with this idea. Here, go with means you agree with this idea and think you should put it into action. However, what if there is a suggestion you don't agree with? Here are some good professional ways to disagree. To be honest, I'm not sure about this idea. Good suggestion, but I see a few problems. Or, I see your point. However, After a phrase like this, explain your point of view. For example, I see your point. However, I don't think advertising in a magazine is a good idea. People don't read them as often these days. Or, to be honest, I'm not sure about this idea. I think improving our website UI is a higher priority right now. Okay? Now, take the suggestion which you made earlier. Pause the video and write down 2 sentences, one to agree and one to disagree. Use the language you just learned. Now, let's move on to different ways to ask a question in a meeting. As an attendee, it's important to make sure you understand the content in the meeting. Sometimes, the chair will ask everyone to save questions until the end. If you're in a meeting where you can ask questions at any time, there are a few good phrases you can use. For more formal meetings, you can begin with a phrase like, sorry, or excuse me, to politely bring the attention to you. Then, you can use phrases like, I have a question. Why is, how, or does this mean? For example, excuse me, how will the new requirements affect the project deadline? Or, sorry to interrupt, but I have a question. Does this mean the new IT systems won't be in place this year? If there is something in the meeting that you don't understand, you can use phrases to ask for clarification. I didn't understand. Can you elaborate on? Or can you clarify? When using these phrases, it's important to explain exactly what you don't know or ask for clarity on something specific that they said. Again, you can use excuse me and sorry in more formal meetings to begin. For example, sorry, can you clarify the third step in your proposal? I didn't get the main idea. Or, excuse me, but could you elaborate on how this will fit in with our existing marketing campaigns? Now it's your turn. Practice asking a question or asking for clarification about something. It can be from a recent meeting or something from your job in general. Again, you can pause the video and write down your ideas for extra practice. Okay, now you can make suggestions and respond to what others say in the meeting. You can also ask questions if there's something you don't understand. Next, imagine that you've discussed the agenda items and come to an agreement on the important decisions you needed to make. You might need to show what you're going to do about these decisions after the meeting has finished. Here, you can offer to do something using a few different phrases. For something that you decide to do at that moment for the future, you can use will. For example, I'll call the client tomorrow. Or, I'll discuss this with the rest of my team and get back to you by the end of the week. If you had a plan even before the meeting began, you can use going to or planning to. I'm going to get a team together for this project. Or I'm planning to do one more round of testing, and then we can go live. If you want to make an offer, you can use can, could, or shall. I can contact the supplier next week if we need to. I could put together a report if you think it would help. Or, shall I talk to our engineering team and get a cost estimate? On the other hand, what if you are asked to do something that you cannot do? Well, there are some useful, polite phrases you can use. I'm afraid I can't. I'm sorry, but I don't think I can. Unfortunately, I won't be able to. Think about this. What if someone asked you to move your project deadline forward, but it wasn't possible? You could say, unfortunately, we won't be able to complete the project any sooner because we don't have the supplies yet. Or, I'm sorry, but I don't think we can finish by the end of this month. We need at least another 6 weeks. At this point, the meeting is wrapping up, and hopefully you have been able to make good suggestions and offers and take part in discussions effectively. Will you be attending a meeting in English soon? Hopefully, some of these phrases will be useful for you. That's all for this lesson. Hope you enjoyed, and thank you for watching. Please visit oxfordonlineenglish.com for more free lessons like this. See you next time.
Right. I know there were several people who some time to join the second when it was out. Okay. Now that was about attending a meeting. Next one will be about
Hi, I'm Gina. Welcome to Oxford Online.
how to chair a meeting, right? So next one is about how to chair a meeting. Useful English phrases. Are you ready to watch it? How to chair a meeting? Students, we won't take a break because of this Zoom thing because you had to always join in 40 minutes, right? No break. So we'll do it and then stop, right?
Grant, you're the chair. It's the first time you're chairing a meeting in English. Think about this situation. Would you know what to say to start the meeting, present your main ideas, or summarize your meeting agenda? In this lesson, you'll learn how to chair a meeting in English. You can learn useful English words and phrases which you can use in your next meeting. Now imagine you're in the meeting room. You need to start the meeting. What will you say? Part 1. Welcoming attendees and starting the meeting. Before the meeting starts, you have to make sure that everyone is paying attention. Do you know how to do this? You could say, "If I could have your attention, please." Could I have your attention, please? Good afternoon, everyone. You can also put two of these phrases together. For example, good morning, everyone. Could I have your attention, please? Remember, you're the chair. You need to take charge and lead the meeting. Make a strong start to your meeting by using emphasis in your voice. For example, in the first phrase, we have the word please after the pause at the end. Emphasize the word please to sound firmer and show people that you expect them to listen to you. Do it like this. If I could have your attention, please. You could also do this for the phrase, could I have your attention, please? Listen to the phrase again. When I say it, does it sound like a question? Could I have your attention, please? The form is a question, but you can read it like a statement. This makes it sound firmer and shows people that you need them to pay attention to you now. After you have everyone's attention, it's time to welcome the attendees and get things started. Here are some good general phrases to use. I'd like to welcome you all here today. Now, let's get down to business. In this phrase, get down to business means begin discussing the important information. Thank you all for coming. Perhaps we can make a start. Thanks, everyone, and welcome to today's meeting. Let's begin. If this is your first time meeting these people, you could also introduce yourself. If there are other presenters in the meeting, this is also the time to introduce them. For example, I'd like to welcome you all here today. My name is Gina Mares, and I'm the marketing manager. And this is John, and he's the head of the design department. Now, let's get down to business. Thank you all for coming. My name's Gina, and I'm the marketing manager. I'm sure you all know Dasha, who's in charge of web content. Perhaps we can make a start. Thanks, everyone, and welcome to today's meeting. I'm Gina Mares, the marketing manager. This is Jess from the accounts department, and she'll also be presenting today. Next, we have to introduce the topic and talk about the items on the agenda. Part 2, introducing the topic and outlining the agenda. After you've welcomed everyone to the meeting, you want to make sure they have a clear idea of what you'll be discussing. This can also help you to stay organized throughout the meeting. First, you want to introduce the overall topic of the meeting. Then, introduce the agenda of the meeting, all the key points you will be discussing. Today's meeting is about, we'll talk about, the aim of this meeting is to, we'll go over. When you go over something, what do you think that means? It means to analyze or look at something carefully. You can also use cover. For example, in today's meeting, we'll go over, or in today's meeting, we'll cover. These are both useful when discussing an agenda. Now, it's your turn to practice beginning a meeting. Start with getting the attendees' attention, then welcome the attendees and get the meeting started. Finally, you can introduce the topic of the meeting and outline your agenda. I'll give you an example, and then you can create your own. Good morning, everyone. If I could have your attention, please. I'd like to welcome you all to the meeting today. Let's begin. The aim of this meeting is to talk about the marketing strategies for the next few months. We'll go over our budget, goals, and welcome the new hires. Okay, now it's your turn. Create an introduction for a meeting you've recently had, or you can just use some general topics from your job. You can pause the video and think about it. How did you do? Okay, let's move on to the main part of the meeting. Part 3, getting through the agenda. Now, you will get into the most important part of the meeting, presenting your main ideas. How you do this depends on what you are talking about, but there are some general rules that you can always use. You want to begin with the first item on your agenda. To do this, use phrases like, so, let's start with the first item on the agenda is. After a phrase like this, you will present and discuss the agenda item. For example, so, let's start with some new business. Marketing strategies. The first item on the agenda is how we can make our online advertising more effective. After you've discussed this first topic, you need to let the attendees know that you've finished and that the discussion should move forward. How can you do this? A simple closing statement will be good, such as, I think that covers the first or second or third item. If nobody has anything else to add, we can continue on to the next item. Now, you can move on to the next point. Here are some useful phrases for this. Let's move on to the next item. Now we come to the final item on the agenda is. Using words like next or final can be very helpful. It helps everybody understand where you are and what you're doing. Let's see how to use these in some full sentences. Let's move on to the next item, the marketing budget for these new strategies. Now we come to the main challenge, how to get 100,000 new contacts in the next few months. The final item on the agenda is to welcome our new hires, James in finance and Deborah in HR. You can repeat these steps until you've covered all of the items on your agenda. Now, it's your turn. Imagine you're chairing a meeting at your company. Write down 3 agenda items. Practice using different English phrases to introduce each item. Again, you can pause the video and think about the points we've just gone over, and also practice making your own examples. Next, we're going to look at attendee participation in the meeting. Part 4, inviting attendees to participate. As a chair, one of your responsibilities is making sure attendees get a chance to express their ideas and take part in discussions. What can you say to bring others into the discussion? You could ask a question like, "What's your opinion on this?" Would you like to share your thoughts on this question? Could you add anything to our ideas here? These are good phrases to make sure all attendees have a chance to participate. Also, as a chair, you may have other attendees who need to present ideas or lead the discussion for part of the meeting. When you want to hand over to another attendee, you can use phrases like, "Would you like to introduce this item?" "I'd like to turn it over to," who is going to lead in the next point. All right, now we'll have the floor. Just add the person's name to use these phrases. For example, "Amit, would you like to introduce this item?" However, there could be a problem here. What if some of the attendees talk too long or start going off topic? Part 5, dealing with distractions and staying on topic. Nobody likes meetings which go on too long, right? To be a good chair, you need to keep people focused on the agenda and avoid distractions. When someone is speaking for too long, there are good professional phrases that you can use. Let's not get too far off topic here. We can discuss that at the end, if you feel it's important. I don't think that's relevant to today's discussion. If someone talks about a topic that would be good to discuss at a later time, you can use the phrase, shelve it or table it. This means that you want to talk about it, but in the future. I think we should shelve that until next time. Good point, but let's table it until the next meeting. At this point, you've gotten through your agenda, made sure that everyone has a chance to speak, and stayed on topic. Great, but you have one more job. Part 6, summarizing and concluding the meeting. Once you've finished discussing everything, you need to summarize your key points. Here, you can say things like, before we close, let me just summarize the main points. To sum up, in brief, shall I go over the main points? Then, use verbs like discussed, went over, and talked about to list the items from the meeting. For example, to sum up, we discussed using the new internet marketing strategies and cutting the budget by $1,000 next month. We also talked about our new sales goals and increasing our traffic. Finally, we welcomed James and Deborah to the company. Now, it's time to finish up. Here, you should show that you're finished and ask for any final questions. To finish, simple phrases like these are effective. Okay, it looks like we've covered the main items for the meeting today. Right, that's all for today's meeting. Don't forget to ask if there are any final questions from the attendees. This will help them to clarify anything they didn't understand and make any final points. Is there any other business? Questions from the attendees. This will help them to clarify anything they didn't understand and make any final points. Is there any other business? Are there any questions before we finish? Now, I'd like you to practice concluding a meeting. First, I'll give you an example, and then you can create your own. To sum up, we discussed using the new internet marketing strategies and cutting the budget by $1,000 each month. We also talked about our sales goals and increasing our site traffic. Finally, we welcomed James and Deborah to the company. Right, that's all for today's meeting. Are there any questions before we finish? No? Great. I'd like to thank Bob, our CEO, for coming here all the way from Beijing. Thank you all for attending. That's all for today. Okay, your turn. Summarize your meeting, thank everyone for coming, and conclude. Now you know how to chair a meeting from beginning to end. Are you chairing a meeting in English in the near future? I hope you can use some of the words and phrases from the lesson to make it easier for you. This section has a lot of useful language to learn and practice, so you might want to go through some sections again to get really comfortable with the language you need. That's all for the lesson. Good luck, and thank you for watching.
Right. So today we learned many business idioms, business phrases, watched how to conduct a meeting, watch how what you should do when you're attending a meeting, right? Do you have anything to say? Please use the chat and type your comments, please. Please use the chat. I have 23 participants in the class. Can you use the chat and type something which you learned today? Or business phrases, idioms, how they are going to be useful for you. I want your comments before I stop. Each one of you type something. I'm waiting. Yes, any comments quickly? Do any new learn new phrases? Did you learn how to chair a meeting? Did you learn how to attend a meeting? I need some comments before I stop. Yes. Someone has said the first time you know how to conduct a meeting. Very good. Who else? Any other comments? There are 25 people in the class. I need to know what you learned. There's one person who said that you learned this. Chairing a meeting. Yeah, that's good. Chairing a meeting. How to chair a meeting. Thank you. Anybody else? What the other 24 people? Chairing a meeting. Yes. Others? Okay, students. See you next time. Thank you very much. Today we didn't have a break. We completed the whole lesson, right? Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. See you. Bye.